I'm here at Exchange with Don Monistere, CEO of General Informatics. Don, what are your clients asking you about AI?
Stuart, it's funny, like the first call that I always get is, hey, we know we need to be talking about AI, we don't know where to begin. And so it really starts out as a very general conversation, a lot about their data. So it starts out where they start talking about, we know we have to use artificial intelligence, we know we need to get insights from the data that we have, but we don't know what to do or where to start. And so I always start with, explain to us where your data sits. Is it in your line of business application? Is it in your SharePoint repository? Is it in a file server? And then we start looking at the project overall as more of a data cleansing exercise. Once we get an idea of what the data is that they want to actually look at and gain insight from, then we can start looking at the different models that we can provide them to start training that AI so that they can get the insights that they're looking for.
So it's interesting, so they're coming to you not with a specific use case in mind, but they're coming and saying, we know there's this big thing, AI thing out there, we know how important it is, we know how transformative it is, how can we make it work for us? Is that kind of the lay of the land?
Yes, it's rarely that they have a use case. In fact, the only time we see it from a use case perspective is they say, hey, we want to use Microsoft Copilot, we don't know how. And so even then, you really just have one AI application, and they're really not sure how they can use that application and how they can use it to benefit them. It's very much a general question-answer type situation. They recognize that we've done a lot of assessments and data analytics projects, so they think, okay, well, let's go to the guys who understand data, because we know if we want to get insights from our data, there's something that we've got to do about it, because the data is not always in good shape, right? It's not always in good condition. And the other thing that they're concerned about is security. They're not 100% sure that all of their data in their file servers or on their SharePoint site or in their line of business application is as secure as it needs to be. For whatever reason, when they think about AI, they think, oh wait, that might be some sort of avenue into my data, and I want to make sure that it's protected. So typically, it's really more general, and then they talk a lot about security, they talk a lot about data cleansing, and that's what leads to the projects that we see now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've heard a lot that most of the most of the product work going on at the moment is around AI consultancy, because the maturity isn't really there yet in the market. How do you see that evolving over the next 12 months?
So one of the things that we've done is we've created a platform in our own private cloud, and we're allowing folks to have kind of a ChatGPT-like experience without actually using a public AI model. A lot of organizations, they have actual policies against uploading corporate data into a public site, like whether you use ChatGPT or Grok or whatever. We can give them a private experience. I see that definitely becoming more and more important to end users, because they want to utilize AI from a generative perspective, but they don't necessarily want to let their users go onto the public internet to do that. The other thing that I see is, you hear a lot about agentic AI. We're transitioning from what can you tell me to what can you do for me? So what we're seeing more and more now is we ask the questions, and then after we get the response and the insight from AI, it's, okay, now go do something for me. And we're starting to see that happening more and more. And it starts off with things like scheduling, leaving a message for someone on a voice bot, so those types of projects we're seeing start to happen now.
And certainly agentic AI has had a lot of hype around it, and people are calling 2025 the year of agentic AI. Are you seeing a lot of appetite from customers for that?
Yes, and what works for us is we find these really good use cases where we can at least demo and start an idea in their heads, and then they start thinking about how that's going to work within their organization and how that might interact with their line of business application. I'll use an example. We've had not just a chat bot, but also a voice bot that you can call in, and it basically acts as a dispatcher. And when you tell that dispatcher what your issue is, whether it's an IT-related issue or some other issue, it will then interact with the line of business application and create a ticket and start that process of support. That whole step used to be a step that was done by a human. Now that's an AI agent that's doing that on your behalf, and it's a lot easier to replicate that process once you've worked out all the issues that you have to work out with the integration. But we're definitely seeing it today, And I think more and more people will come to us with maybe more well thought out use cases, and it will allow us to do a lot better development.
Fantastic. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for. Thanks for your time, Don, and thanks for watching.